Welcome to the Outlaws podcast. This is Ryan, and today I am joined by Brad. And Brad, I have to commend you for coming down to the draft. We only had 5 people there, and you were one that was willing to take the 2.5 hour drive at least down to Cabot for the draft. We appreciate you being there. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, it was definitely worth the drive. And the 2.5 hour drive back in the rain after the draft. So
Yeah, it was.
It was worth it.
Let me ask you, because
It took about 4 hours to get back.
Oh, it took you 4 hours?
Yeah, it was raining pretty bad. Like once I got out of Conway, it was coming down real hard.
Dang, that sucks. Well, anyway, I have to ask you. The last couple of drafts, you seem very prepared. I know that part of your routine of your getting ready for these drafts is listening to a lot of satellite radio. And you mentioned at the draft that you don't have satellite radio anymore. So did that take away from your preparation, from your, how you normally come in to the draft?
Not really, and it wouldn't have mattered. Like I would have been a little more prepared had I had the radio to listen to, but with my work schedule it is, I really don't feel like going home at night and sitting down for 2 hours and just studying this stuff. And actually, comparing this team to last team, I actually kind of like this one a little better. I did do a little research. I knew the guys I wanted to get, the guys that I wanted to stay totally away from, and everybody that I picked up, with the exception of Stanton, was on my list of guys that I wanted.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you. Obviously, you got Miguel Cabrera for the second straight year, $62. That looks like a pretty good price, obviously, since Trout went for 73, and a lot of people kind of view them as 1A and 1B, almost equal players. And so what made you want to build your team around Cabrera for the second straight year?
It's Cabrera. What more can you say? The dude just hits the ball constantly. He's going to have a good batting average again. He's going to hit a bunch of home runs. He's going to get a bunch of RBIs. He's going to score a little. The only thing he's not going to do, but I think makes Trout probably 1A. Obviously, 1A is because Trout will steal bases, and obviously Miggy is not going to steal any bases. So,
yeah. Well, did you
hit more home runs? He's probably have more hits. Well, he might have more RBIs.
When you came into the draft, did you know that you wanted to spend big money on one of the top 2 players, or did you just kind of wanted to see how high they were going to go and go from there?
Yeah, I wanted to see how they were going to go. Like I wanted Trout, but I didn't want him bad enough to spend, over. Like I would have gone to 65 because it's Trout. But once I realized it's 60, he's just going to keep going. I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to wait and see what happens with Miggy, see if I can get him. I wasn't dead set on getting either one of them. I really wanted one of them, but I had a backup plan for it if I didn't get either one of them. So.
Yeah, well, it's hard to go wrong with Cabrera at the very least. You've got a big-time asset that you can get a lot for in a trade. Another guy that you got on your team this year that you had last year, obviously, was kind of the next closest thing we've seen to Trout, and that's got to be Yasiel Puig. Puig came up with a monster season last year in limited time. He's back on your team for $26. Was he somebody that you knew you were going to draft this year?
I actually didn't think I would get him. I figured his price tag would be higher than I wanted to spend because of what he did last year. It was still a little bit more than I expected. I didn't expect him to go to the 20s. I figured since he kind of tapered off towards the end of last year, the rest of the guys in the league might wait for a more sure thing than such a risk as Puig. But because at the time I didn't have much of an outfield to go with, I was like, well, let's take a shot on Puig, $26. I'll take him, and if he turns in anything close to what Trout did his second year, I'll be happy.
Yeah, definitely. And you obviously, your offense. I was looking at it the other day. You got a lot of power in this lineup. Obviously, Cabrera, Kipnis is going to give you more home runs than most of the second basemen in the league. And then, obviously, Puig, Stanton, and Bruce is your outfield. That is a ton of power in the outfield. You even have Willen Rosario at catcher, so you're definitely going to be right up there in the top 2 or 3 in the home runs, if not first, every single week. Is that something that you wanted to build your team around, knowing that you wanted to go after a power team instead of more of a speed team?
I like power over speed. I didn't want to go strictly power.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about it, a guy who hits 30 home runs, he's probably going to have a good number of RBIs and probably a decent health. I can't say decent batting average because we all know about Adam Dunn, and it's 25 to 30 home runs every year, but that's closer to 200. So
yeah, and
but,
even
Go ahead.
I was going to say, even though I mentioned that you have all this power, man, you still have a lot of speed too. Your middle infield, Kipnis, he stole like 30 bases last year. At shortstop, you have Everett Cabrera, who's going to be up there in the top five or so in stolen bases on the season probably. So those two can carry you a long way in your steals, even though, and then Puig will still use some bags. So you're not bad in steals. You have a very well-rounded offense, obviously, and Cabrera can make up for a lot of those average problems that you have with guys like Bruce, and you also have Freddie Freeman at first base. So you got two very high average hitters. One guy I wanted to ask you about specifically was Starlin Castro, a second shortstop, and I know you're kind of a Cubs homer, but just personally, it was really entertaining watching you beat Drew on that bid. Is he somebody that you won coming into the draft though?
I mean, he was on my list, but so I'm not gonna lie, so was Anthony Rizzo and Jeff Samardzija. Samardzija was actually really high up on my list of pitchers that I wanted because it didn't really. The strategy was to not really focus on pitching like I had in the past and try and get a couple of real good hitters and then one of the stud pitchers. I kind of wanted to go with more of that middle tier pitcher, Jeff Samardzija and well, you can't say Madison Bumgarner anymore, even though his price tag, you would say he's more of a middle
Right.
of the road, even though he's the quietest ace in the game. You guys like that, and so I didn't expect to get Castro this year. I was going to try and say he bit me in the ass last year, but since I had gotten Everett Cabrera, who he's going to get steals, but you don't know what else he's going to do, and Castro has done it before. He has hit home runs. He has stolen bases. He's had good seasons last year. As a backup, there's a chance to have a bounce back season. It was worth a shot, and I was obviously happy to get at least one Cubs player this draft. It's Rizzo got snapped for me. That was the Cub I wanted the most. Was Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah. Well, Starlin Castro, at the very least, he's got a lot of upside, so it's a nice flyer to have. And one thing I read is, who's the Cubs' new manager?
I believe it's Dale Swain.
Oh, is it still Swaim, or was he?
You know what? I haven't
Can't
paid much
remember.
attention to the end of last year to what they've done because I just
Yeah,
they're so
I'm pretty sure they
they
got a new
become their huge
manager.
headache.
I'm pretty sure they got a new manager. I can't think of who it is right now, but anyway, the reason I bring that
You're
up is,
probably right.
yeah, the reason I bring it up is because I saw that Starlin Castro mentioned in an article the other day that he's got the green light to run whenever he wants this year. And that's something that he didn't have last year, so you might see his stolen base total tick up a little bit.
That's good news because if anything, if he gets steals, it'll make up. I mean, he doesn't have much crap ton power, but I believe 2 years ago he hit around 20 home runs, did he not?
Well, yeah, I mean he's normally a guy that besides last year, he's normally a safe bet for 15 home runs and 25 steals, and it looked like he was still, and he's still only like 23 years old, so he's even got room to improve on those numbers from a couple years ago if he gets everything and puts it all together.
If he goes 2020, I will be happier than hell.
Yeah, you should be
Because
for a
if
shortstop.
anybody knows that plays fantasy baseball, has played fantasy baseball for more than a year, you know that shortstop is a really thin position. And even the best players like Tulowitzki, I mean, that dude spends 2/3 of the season on the DL, but because of how good he is, that third of the season makes his price tag through the roof.
Yeah, your team, you have a very durable team offensively outside of maybe Stanton. Everybody else is normally in the lineup every single day, so that's good news for your team. Obviously, since your offense is so dominant, I think it may have taken away a little bit from your pitching staff. You've got a couple of nice pitchers at the top of the rotation. You got Iwakuma, who's going to be your number two. Your number one, I'm looking for Jose Fernandez for $22. I thought that was one of the better picks in the entire draft. But Iwakuma, he's only going to be out for 2 or 3 weeks, it sounds like. And I kind of like Zach Wheeler for a couple bucks. You got AJ Burnett for $1. Irvin Santana, that is, for $2. I like those guys. I don't know about the rest of the guys like Nolasco and Ogando. There's a couple question marks there at the end. Are you looking to maybe acquire a pitcher or two, or you're gonna just try to work the waiver wire?
I might acquire one middle of the road guy. I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
Somebody send me a trade. I'm not trading for Kershaw, and I'm not trading for Kershaw or Bumgarner, the guy who owns him. Obviously, you got to know that he's worth a lot more than his price tag would say. So I wouldn't probably trade for a Bumgarner or a Chris Sale. Even though I'd love that, Chris Sale would probably be a pitcher I'd love to have because he is pretty good, obviously, and his price tag wouldn't be as high as say Clayton Kershaw.
Well, let me
or
ask you
King
this.
Felix for that matter.
So obviously, well, I guess I just wanted to ask you, what do you think your best pick was at the draft, the best value that you had?
Oh, Best Buy? Oh, crap. I'd have to go with a couple. I'd have to say, like 22 for Jose Fernandez. I wasn't even like, he was on my list of pitchers that I wanted, or pitchers to grab, and I had a really long list of starters
Mm-hmm.
that I would happily take 2 or 3 of and be happy with it. Iwakuma was actually on that list too. Um, Fernandez for 22. I actually, when I saw how cheap he was, he had a really good season last year. $22. I thought that was great. And I'd say both my shortstops. $6 for Castro and Everett Cabrera. Both have a lot of upside. You know, Cabrera's at least going to steal bases, and Castro's got the ability to contribute in at least 4 categories if he plays to his potential. So, you know, if he doesn't get replaced or plays like crap like he did last year, he can contribute in 4 categories. He can give me some steals, some homers, runs, maybe some ribbies. I know the Cubs lineup is absolutely atrocious. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, I
yeah,
think you
we'll see.
pinpointed the exact guys that I would have picked out on your team. I thought Fernandez for 22 was exceptional. Iwakuma for $7. I mean, you can't do much better than that because he's not going to be out that long. And
No.
Everett Cabrera, he was one of the top shortstop on Big Ben's team last year before he got suspended on PEDs. And I mean, I don't know why would you not expect him to have just as good of a year? It's like he was popping out home runs. I don't think his speed's going to be any worse because he was on PEDs and now he's not. I don't think that's going to really affect him a whole lot. So I think he's going to be pretty much what he was last year, unless there's something that I'm missing.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he doesn't bat 150, if all he does is bat 260, 270, and steal me 30 bases, I'll be happy. For $3, I'll take 30 stolen bases and I get a decent average all day, every day for $3. I mean, with the
Yeah,
way the shortstop position is, I mean, okay, so he batted 270 and he stole 30 bases.
yeah,
I've won steals a few weeks because this guy stole a crap ton of bases.
he'll steal 30 bases in his sleep. In 2012, he played 115 games, stole 44 bases. Last year in 95 games, he stole 37 bases. So this is a guy that you're looking at getting 50 plus steals from.
That would be nice. Well, maybe this year he'll play a full season, but again, he's kind of like I wouldn't say that. I mean, he's a sleeper, but he's kind of not a sleeper because everybody knows what he can do.
Mm-hmm.
But he hasn't played a full season yet, so it's still kind of up in the air. If he plays a full 162 game season, how many bases will this guy steal? How many could he steal? He's so fast.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so I know that you accidentally drafted Medlin, luckily only for $1, so it really didn't cost you at all. But my question, besides Medlin, who is your least favorite pick or your least favorite value?
least favorite pick. Man, probably Ricky Nolasco, but I think I only paid $1 for him.
Yeah,
So
is there
really,
anybody else that
any
you
of my
spent?
dollar players, I'm not going to throw my dollar players out there because they're dollar players.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're good
Let's
you
go with
can kind of
somebody.
pick them up.
Right. Let's go with somebody else.
Guys that I picked, guys that I actually paid money for.
Let me throw out a few names for you so you know what they went for. Kipnis for 27, Stanton 24, Freddie Freeman 32, Jay Bruce 28, Rosario 8, CC Sabathia 5. Pretty much all your other guys went for went for pretty low, so it's hard to pick anybody else.
I can live with Sabathia for 5. I mean, he's just a shot. I mean, I won't have a problem trading him or cutting him later on if he decides he wants to have a 5.5 ERA and strike out nobody. I can live with that. I'll cut him $5. Not that big of a deal. Man, Kipnis for 27. That was awesome. Just back to my good picks notice. Kipnis for 27. I really like that.
Yeah. I thought he would go for closer to 30.
And Rosario for 8. I really like that pick too. I really like William Rosario this year.
Yeah, I like Rosario too. Let me just ask you this while we're, for everybody to listen. Just wondering, I got Brian McCann on my team. Would you entertain a McCann for Rosario offer, or do you like Rosario better?
I like Rosario better, and that may be stupid, but Rosario, I had him in another league last year. I played in a public rotisserie league, and he was my catcher, and he was incredible. I know he goes through stretches where he doesn't do anything, but when he's hot, he's really on fire. He's really hitting the ball good.
Yeah, I like Rosario too.
I'm hoping
I came into the draft knowing that I wanted either Rosario or McCann. I like Rosario just a tad bit better. They're ranked like right back to back, so I have.
Those are my two catcher targets as well. I wanted McCann or Rosario. I liked Rosario probably a little more than McCann than maybe you did. I think my margin might be a little wider. But yeah, they wouldn't shock me if Junior McCann is a little better or Rosario is a little better. It just, I feel like they could go either way. For some reason, just because I owned Rosario last year in the league, I liked him. I know he's got power. And if anything, he can hit like crap half the season their way. If there's a lot of hits when they're in Colorado, it'll be a good year for a catcher. Good catcher. I mean, it's really kind of it's like a tight end in fantasy football. Unless you got Jimmy Graham or Gronkowski or who's that guy? I can't remember that guy I had this year that was really good.
Jordan Cameron.
Yeah. Unless you have one of those guys, it's really just kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah, you make a good point there. And even last year, you found a way to catch lightning in a bottle at that position with John Buck and that monster April. And then even later on, you picked up LaCroix. And I was mentioning this to I think, Drew. Between those two guys, you might have had the number one catcher, if you combine what they did for you on your team. You got a lot of production from your catcher position last year.
I think I started off last year. I think I drafted Miguel Montero, who was a huge disappointment. I really expected more out of him. He was actually, when I went in the draft last year, Miguel Montero was one of my higher pitchers, a guy that had potential to be, we're not saying Buster Posey or Yadier Molina, but, a good catcher nonetheless, and he wouldn't cost me very much, and he didn't do jack squat, so I was happy to get John Buck close to the start of his hot streak, so I got to ride that out for a while. And then I got to cut him and pick up LaCroix, and he was just pretty consistent from the time I picked him up on. And the pick I don't like, I like Stanton. I like him a lot, but his health and the fact that he plays for the Marlins, I don't know what the hell that is. That's not a baseball team. That's just a retard to the bat and the ball.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I remember you did have Stanton 2 years ago, and he was really good that season. Last year, he was not that great, but.
Yeah, so he was mainly because I feel like he's really risky, and I feel like he could be more of a risk than a reward. Like with Puli, he was kind of he's risky because he did kind of taper off towards the end. I mean, he still played good, but you could see that he was starting not to be superhuman anymore, and that you don't know what he'll do in a full season. If he can stay out of trouble, I heard he's kind of a pain in the ass to deal with. So, I mean. Maybe if he stays out of trouble and he plays like he did when he started coming in, when he came in last year, that'd be nice. But Stanton would be the one I worry about. Health issues, shitty team. There's no clean word to describe the Marlins. I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, let me ask you this: who was one player that you really wanted that you wish you had bid on or gotten the extra dollar on that you didn't get?
Oh, Rizzo. Just on a smaller end player, Rizzo, because I really think Rizzo, even though the Cubs are terrible, he did show some potential last year. Granted, it was in burst because he was really inconsistent, but if he were able to make it more consistent. But I think towards that point of the draft, I didn't have it. I really wish I could have gotten Austin Jackson, but I didn't have enough money then either.
Oh, yeah, that was
he's one of my big sleepers. I thought I was going to get him in the last second. Ryan puts in another dollar. Oh!
You know what, Brad? And the thing about that is that I really could not figure out who I wanted between him and Desmond Jennings. And the only reason I did that is just to spite you. And that's probably not the nicest thing in the world. But, you had that live draft. If you're sitting at home on your computer, I'm sitting at home at mine, and I'm not looking at you right across the table, I probably wouldn't have done that.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm a Cubs homer, and I like Cubs players. But the biggest reason why I went that extra dollar or two on Castro was just that I knew Drew didn't have a shortstop, and I knew Castro was one of the last ones with any kind of potential to be a decent starting shortstop this year. And, I could use a decent backup. Here we go. I'm going to take him.
Yeah, I was so glad you did that. That was definitely one of the highlights of the draft for me, is because Drew was being so cocky about it. He placed that bid walked out of the room, out on the deck, and acted like it was just over with you, the biggest Cubs fan there is, sitting right next to it, able to make that bid, knowing that you don't have a Cub on your team left. So I'm glad that you made that bid, and he couldn't get back to the computer in time to raise it.
Well, it was really shitty that he walked out and was like, "What are you doing? You're sitting next to me. You know that I'm a huge Cubs fan, even though it doesn't sound like it, because I don't even know if they have any managers or not. But if you're a Cubs fan, you know they're a huge headache, and they're hard to pay really big attention to if you don't live in Chicago, because they make my head spin. They're so bad." But the fact that he walked out of the room with one of my favorite players, a guy that I have as the potential bounce back, and I didn't have the greatest shortstop at the time right there. I mean, nothing wrong with Everett Cabrera, but you need a little insurance on a guy like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks out of the room, and he doesn't even have a shortstop. And I'm pretty sure after Castro, there was nobody. I mean, Castro wouldn't even be a somebody, I wouldn't think, after last year, but he had the potential to be a somebody at catcher. And you just walk out of the room and leave the last, pretty much the last catcher available is worth a damn. I mean, last shortstop available is worth a damn go, and you leave the room. Yeah, I'm taking it. Spite you, just to spite you.
Yeah.
I mean, I took a third shortstop, too, just because.
So what is your goal for the season? Is there are you just going into it say, hey, I hope I make the playoffs, or are you saying title or bust, top 3 or bust? What do you think?
I'd like to win, since I haven't won any of our leagues ever. I've gotten second, I think, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I think 3 times in each sport.
So, I mean, I don't know how many times I finished top 3, top 4. I mean, my last 2 seasons, obviously, football and last baseball season were just awful, but, you know, the last 2 seasons I was going for it all, so I was going to either win it or I was going to be like I was, pretty much in last place.
You were pretty hot there for a while. You had made a basketball, baseball, and football championship appearance 3 consecutive leagues. So you were pushing right there, and then you took a little bit step back last year. So I'm hoping to see you get back on top.
Yeah, I took a step back because of the whole. I went more for the. I took the risk for the reward better. I wanted to win it all. I mean, yeah, it's great to go 3 straight title games, but to finish second in all of them is just, oh God, it hurts so bad to know you got so close and now you have to wait a full year to have another shot at it. I mean, the last 2 seasons so bad. I didn't even play basketball this year. I just couldn't do it. It was just like, screw it.
So what letter grade would you give your team right now, like considering the draft that you had? I'm just trying to figure out how happy you are with it.
Let's see. Well, I accomplished one of my goals in punted saves. That explains Alexio Gondo and Joe Kelly that I picked up when I dropped Medlin.
Yeah, really.
And honestly, I did not realize Medlin was about to have Tommy John surgery. I did actually look up the hurt players, the most up-to-date hurt player injured reserve list, right before the draft to make sure that I didn't, and he did not pop up as a guy who was about to miss the whole season. He just said that he was doubtful to start the season, which I just assumed, okay, so he'll be like Iwakuma, he'll miss 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe. But I only put him out there for $1 because I didn't want to spend a fortune on pitching. I wanted all you guys to fight over pitchers. Even if you spent $5 on a Chris Medlin, that's $5 less somebody else has to spend on a hitter that I want. So that's why I threw out pitchers and closers whenever I could. I didn't want closers. So I give my pitching, I'm going to be generous because it's my team. I'm going to say a C. Because I like Iwakuma. I like Jose Fernandez. And Adrian Burnett could be pretty good again. So, I mean, there's potential there. Maybe Sabathia again. I think he's pretty much run his course, so I'm pretty sure he's pretty much done. And so I'm going to say a C. Y'all might give it a worse grade than that. But my hitting, I like my hitting a lot, though. I'm going to give my hitting an A.
Yeah, I think those are fair grades.
I think, Rosario, a catcher, if anything, he's going to hit some bombs. He's not going to bat a turn. He's not going to pull a June bug and bat 200 after he goes on a hot streak. So he won't kill me in average. And he's got home runs. I mean,
yeah, you got a well-rounded offense. I haven't looked at
all the teams to compare my third and first to other teams. I'm sure somebody's got a better combination than Freeman and Miggy. But I think you'd be hard pressed to find another team that had a better corners setup than I do, because Freeman was so good. I mean, I had him last year. I drafted him, and he wasn't very good. And then he just was on fire coincidentally after I got rid of him. So
Yeah,
I mean,
just your luck.
Freeman and Miggy at the corners is pretty good. Kipnis, I honestly wouldn't be shocked if he was the third or fourth second baseman this year. I think maybe Cano or Pedroia will probably finish in front of him. I cannot think of another fantastic second baseman.
Yeah, there's no doubt your offense is definitely stacked. I think you and Adam, just going off memory, probably have the best offenses in the league right now. And just kind of update us on what you're going to be doing. When do you know when you're going to be moving down to Little Rock, and when the job, the police academy, all that is going to start up?
The academy is supposed to start in July. They don't have an exact date. But probably as soon as I get the official nod and the official date, I will probably move down towards the end of May, early June, so I can get settled, find a place, and get ready for 24 weeks of all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure it'll be real fun.
Get reused to living in Little Rock again.
Yeah, so, I guess you've been gone from Little Rock for almost 10 years. That'll be a change for you, I guess.
It'll be a change of pace because Little Rock has changed a ton.
Yeah.
Since I moved, there's still all the road work and geez, but and it won't be that big of a deal for me because I'm from there. But my wife has always lived in Elkins, which anybody's been here. It's a town of 2,000 people. It's tiny. Half the city, half the town has Fayetteville addresses. You have to go halfway in Elkins to get Elkins addresses, and then once you're on the backside of Elkins, it goes back to Fayetteville addresses.
That's weird.
So. Yeah, it's really, really weird. I actually have a Fayetteville address, but I live in Elkins, so it's really weird. If you live here your whole life, so the big change from one of the a smaller town to the biggest city in the state will be a big change.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, I guess I need to wrap this up. I'm looking forward to you moving down here in a few months, and good luck with the academy and everything. And if you're interested in Jackson or McCann or whatever, send out some offers. We'll try to work something out.
Yeah. Oh, Anthony Rendon, watch out. He's a big sleeper for me this year. I think he might be able to be legit.
Yeah, good call. He was actually like one of the top prospects in all of baseball before he got hurt. He may have been number one at one point, so he's got some upside to him, no doubt about it.
I'm hoping he'd be a fantastic utility player if he turns out to be good and a good backup for Kipnis. Hell, even Miggy, even though Miggy rarely gets hurt, he does. I think he might miss a few games during the season. So he's not a must-have to have a backup for him.
Yeah, so if he starts off hot, you can flip him. So might as well stash him. So. All right, man. Well, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, talk to you later, man.
All right, see ya.
Peace.